Hello everyone, welcome to Fiaura. So, we're going to be reviewing this vehicle today, the AMX10P Pac 90. Now, a little history on this vehicle, as I don't actually own it. So as you guys can see, we're going to be reviewing it based upon its stats versus its other two tier 4 tank destroyer brethren. But let's go have a look at what this vehicle actually was. So, it actually commenced production in 1979 as a anti-tank variant of the AMX10P AFV. So it's basically the AMX10P with a huge 90mm gun on it. It was designed to fight alongside, MBTs and stuff and kind of be a frontline support vehicle. And its front armor could take a 50 cal anti-tank rifle. But there's some big buts here. It had to almost exclusively rely on heat because the main gun had issues with getting the sabot rounds to go in a straight line. In addition to this, its performance turned out to not be that awesome. And why do I say that? Well, it didn't really get much fighting ever done. It didn't see very much export. I don't actually think it operated during Desert Storm 1, but otherwise it hasn't really operated or functioned at all. The French haven't really deployed it anywhere. It has been exported to about 6 countries. Currently France, Bosnia, Indonesia, Morocco, the Saudi Arabians, what are they called? The United Arab Emirates operate it. Israel retired it. The Iraqi versions have all been destroyed, scrapped, or repurposed for other countries. And the Singapore Army scrapped it. That's it. That's all that we have on this vehicle as far as actual combat operations. Otherwise, it hasn't seen battle. So how does it work in armored warfare? Well, let's compare it. So, we know that this thing, I don't mean to diss it on the terms with, the LAV-300, but I really don't think either of these tank destroyers compare to the LAV-300. So this thing has a 288 damage with a 235 penetration with its sabot round. It has a little more pen, not quite as much damage, and the heat shell on it, yeah, you can see where this is going. The heat shell on it is not going to compare to the heat shell on the LAV-300. And the Xylo S doesn't even have a heat shell. Yeah, its heat ammunition doesn't even compare. So there is that. The LAV-300 will out-alpha you all day long. You do have 1 more point of penetration. But you don't have the LAV-300's rate of fire. That's for sure. You have fewer hit points, but more armor. You are armored enough that with some angling and some lucky hits, autocannons will bounce sometimes from your tank. In comparison to the LAV-300, your top speed's a lot slower, but you do accelerate a little quicker. Yeah, sorry. You do, however, have the best gun depression out of any of the tier 4 tank destroyers. Period. End of story. No arguing that point. And the best accuracy. Your aim time's a little long, though. Let's take a look at it compared to the Xylo. Compared to the Xylo, it has higher alpha, higher damage per minute, doesn't have higher physical reload, but overall it does output more damage. And we can compare these relatively easily because they don't have any ammunition upgrades and they're both using the same type. It gets more hit points, more armor. Not that armor is very important for tank destroyers. As you may have noticed, you penetrate them like butter. But again, the AMX10P is slow. And is the least camouflaged and shortest view ranged out of all three of these Tier 4 tank destroyers. You are going to get spotted in your AMX10P where your Xylo S and LAB300 might remain hidden. Not to mention, the hull composition of the AMX is actually military aluminum, so it's actually not 48 millimeters thick, guys. It's only 43. Yeah, sorry. So now we kind of have a rundown of what it compares to. It does have the worst view range and camouflage rating, period. It does have the best gun depression. And it's kind of in the middle on its turret rotation speed. On its traverse speed, however, it is the only one of the three tank destroyers to have tracks, which is its biggest advantage. It is a tank destroyer that is not wheeled, which means that it can maneuver and turn harder, quicker, and more accurately than the LAB300 or the Xylo or any other tank destroyers for that matter. It's the only one with tracks. And it does have the best soft ground and mud traveling characteristics out of any of the tank destroyers, because once you take the LAB300 or the Xylo S off-road, you might find yourself getting bogged down in the mud. Whereas this thing, nope, gonna drive straight through it like it don't care. So, we've gone over the stats. It is an AMX10P hull, guys. There's no need to go over weak points. It's point and shoot it. It penetrates. I suggest using heat shells against it, if not flat out loading high explosive. If the only target you know you're gonna have is to shoot its turret, load HE, because you will penetrate this little 15 millimeter turret with full HE pen and blow out all of its modules. So, how does it actually perform in gameplay? Well, why don't we go take a look at how the AMX10P performs in gameplay? Shall we? I think we should. So you guys have requested that I do PvP for these reviews, and I've agreed. It's going to be more difficult to get the footage for these reviews, but I can do it. And it would help if I would quit seeing rocks hidden behind bushes. Now, this thing does have Sabo, it does have high explosive, and it does have heat. It also has quite a bit of angry. Now, this was recorded during early access, but I've done my research and my homework. The AMX10P has not been changed since this was recorded. This was recorded at the end of EA5. And they finally let us have all the premium vehicles and let us play around, but the AMX10P has not been changed at all, actually, since the end of EA3 when we had it the first time. So you'll be happy to know that this footage does work even for the current build. Now, I don't know if they're going to be changing it soon, but I am tempted to buy this vehicle because I've had a good time in it. It does take some getting used to. As you can see, it is very, very hard to accelerate, and you do sometimes have issues with bounces, but then you have that. With the sniper bonus, the Sabo rounds hit really hard against MBTs. You can really piss off some MBT drivers with this vehicle. And you know, you want to talk about me in chat, Aragon, that's fine. I don't care anymore. Oh, I see a Dragoon. By the way, when this was recorded, there were no vehicles in game that weren't there when this was recorded. So I'm gonna have to fight everything and its grandmother. And as you can see, I'm being very, very cautious because I'm reminding myself I have a short view range and I have bad camouflage. It's kind of reminding myself in the back of my head, you don't have the view range, you don't have the camouflage, don't you risk it. Unless you have to. So I have reminded myself of that. And for those who watched my live stream yesterday, you might be wondering, she's recording this at night, right? Why don't she change clothes? During the live stream yesterday, I had agreed to get into my bikini and live stream from that if you guys made the fan funding goal from the previous one, which I did. I am going to offer that again. Ooh, poor Scorpion. I am going to offer that again for tomorrow's live stream, but you have to make the fan funding goal, guys. You can't come up short.
Target hit.
And as you can see, you just have to kind of let it aim. I mean, it reloads relatively quickly. You just have to let it aim it in. And unlike the Xylo S, this thing has a heat shell. You could switch to heat if you're looking at lower armored targets.
Penetrated.
That's sweet, sweet penetration. Tastes so good. Hit his track and not his actual hull. But if you were to say get into a position where you were at about 500 meters, which means you know you're outside of the view range of tier 4s, and just sat there sniping with this thing, you could really wreak some havoc. Because every just short of 5 seconds, you're going to pump out a round. And if you do the math, that's about 16 rounds.
Identify target.
That's not, that's, it's about 14 rounds a minute coming out of this gun. You can imagine where this is going. Where you just wreck tanks for existing.
Ammo up.
The problem, of course, is you can see even with the tracks, my whole, while I have more precise turning, my actual traverse kind of sucks, and my top speed is trash. This is still an AMX10P, guys. It's the exact same engine, exact same hull, just with a turret and a 90mm gun on it.
Load heat.
There's about 40% increase in the weight that engine is now being required to carry around. And it shows. This is not the little zippy 10P. The Pac 90 is definitely slowed down by all that extra weight.
Hostile truck.
We've spotted each other. This is very dangerous right now because that's another tank destroyer.
Load heat.
Nailed him.
Ooh, but I got him right in the turret. I'm reloading heat for the arty. Just go over the rock. I don't care.
Load heat. Identified.
Hostile truck.
Oh, poor leopard. Poor leopard. Oh, poor leopard. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Actually, I kind of did. You're not driving my leopard, so meh. Okay, I need to cross the river. And this is kind of where I realized, oh, this is not a boat. It's a flooding raft. And I should have realized that sooner. Well, like I said, I'm likely to buy this vehicle because it's a good vehicle. It's a good solid tank destroyer. Oh, I missed my snapshot there. Oh. I took a hit. He's behind a rock now.
Hostile tank.
This is not a good position. The enemy's able to shoot me from both directions.
Hostile tank.
Load heat.
I should have loaded Sabo. Actually, I should load HE and just go at this guy.
Load Sabo.
Oh, God. Well, thank you, Scorpion. I apparently couldn't hit the broadside of a barn there for a little bit.
Load heat.
Now, where'd that swing fire go? Oh, swing fire! Swing fire! Where did you go? Oh. Huh. I'm sorry I didn't have more for this video, by the way, guys, because this thing doesn't have a lot of military actual combat service. I think the research I had showed it had about 20 confirmed kills during Desert Storm and the first Gulf War, and I'm like, you mean out of the couple 100 they deployed, they only had 20 kills. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there just wasn't a lot to go on with this vehicle. But it's still a fairly decent tank destroyer. It's just a bit on the slower side, and you're going to have to adjust yourself to that. To the fact it is slower than, you know, all your other TDs. And the fact that it's the only not wheeled TD we have right now. So I did have Freya in it for this. It does make credits. Oh my god, does it make credits. You don't have to do much of anything to get credits in this machine at all. And it's cheap to repair. If you look down at the bottom left of the screen, you'll see 1,300. Cheap to repair, makes credits. There was a boost on, but still, even without the ×3 boost, this little bitty crappy match is worth about 90 grand. And I say it's a crappy match. I did almost twice my hit points in damage, but to me, this was a bad match for me. So, let's go take a look at this tank in some PvE and in some continuous combat type of situations and show you what it can do. Alright, so, PvE. Now, I showed you guys the PvP version. The reason I'm adding the PvE version as well to this one and not the others that come after it probably, or the one, because this thing doesn't have a lot of military history to go on. And I kind of want to give you guys a better overview of this vehicle. I mean, there's not... I don't want to say it's a bad tank. It's not. It's actually pretty decent as far as ability to throw out damage.
Get to the PLM depot while they are out. We don't have a lot of time. Good luck.
It has the ability to really chunk out the damage,
Don't
but
look like they're expecting us. Good.
it doesn't feel like the best vehicle in the world if you get my drift. There's just times when I begin to wonder, is it really that good or not? And this is kind of one of those type of vehicles where you start to question that. But
Target hit.
it makes credits, and it can throw out damage.
Down. Both of the PLM target mobilized.
If you don't pen, you're mobilized, and then it's just boom, boom, boom. Look at that, 460 from a heat shell.
Load heat.
And then of course, you know, you're gonna reload faster than just about every other thing I'm sure, but this high low. 4.65 seconds I've got it down to. I think the quickest I ever got this vehicle down to during EA was 4.33, which is just obscene. You're talking just over 4 seconds to be throwing out 350 to 500 damage a pop.
Enemy destroyed.
You wonder why these things are so destructive in PvE. It's because this is what they do.
They got lucky.
Really? From above him?
Enemy destroyed.
Oh!
Loader heat.
I'll shoot through the top of the turret. Piss me off, huh? Won't let me engine deck you? Fine, I'll blast through your turret top. And no, it's not like Carrot Top.
We will send someone to
Identify
recover the
target.
stolen supplies.
Awesome.
Good
Thanks.
one.
Do have that gun depression, so even at point blank range, right into the lower plate. Up, he's coming up, he's reloading, and I know it, and he's dead. Before the autocannon could finish him, I got him. That's how quick this gun is. And I got somebody like trying to get me
Destroyed.
for intros and stuff and do a collab,
They're
but
destroying the city. We have
I'm
to
not
make sure they
necessarily
don't
going to
happen
give him a
again.
shout out yet or not because I haven't really talked to him. I got like one YouTube message back, and then after that I haven't heard from him. So I don't know if he still does stuff or not.
They got lucky.
I mean, it was nice of him to come in and offer him.
Ammo up.
Loader. Save him.
Oh! Crew kill shot. Yeah, that just happened. Whole crew, 1 round. The module damage from this gun is up. And look at that, more module damage. The module and crew damage from this gun is what I wanted you guys to see, and there it is. It is devastating. Every single time you pin with a heat shell, it's almost guaranteed to break something or kill someone. And that right there is a perfect example. One-shot crew kill.
Identified.
He went from 790 to dead from a single round from my tank. And it is one of the few times I have seen a tank die instantly from one shot. I did it to a player during EA, and I was shocked that this tank was capable of that. But I crew killed a XM800 and was just like, wow. Also, the gun is really freaking accurate. It's the most accurate, like I said, it's the most accurate tank destroyer gun out of these tier 4 TDs that you have a choice of. Is there some redeeming quality to the silo? I'll be letting you guys know. I mean, I've enjoyed having it. It's been a fun tank to have. I would rather have had this, or I would rather trade my Xylo for this directly if I could. I might ask them, hey, can I trade my Xylo? It's not that precise, Fiaura. I mean, it's pretty precise. But it's not that precise. I mean, that is like... I think I'm hitting a corpse or something. I don't even know anymore. But there's no way I could make that shot. I shouldn't even be taking these shots right now. Yeah, the round is smaller than the area. The round is bigger than the area of the enemy tank I'm trying to hit. But that's the biggest surprise I had with this tank was just the module damage is so brutal. And that's what I really wanted you guys to see. During early access, I counted 3 times with this vehicle. I got a one-shot kill. One-shot kill. I don't know what else to say about it. That is one of the biggest reasons it's superior to the other 2 tank destroyers, is the module and crew damage it issues. And when you put Freya in it, where she could just amp that module and crew damage through the roof, stuff like that happens. I know I'm harping on this, but that is why you want this tank. You want to put Freya in it and go around and be like, boom, you just lost 2 crew members. Boom, your ammo rack just cooked off. But yeah, sustained fire wise, this is the best out of all 4 of the tier 4 tank, out of all 3 of the tier 4 tank destroyers right now. Just the sheer sustained fire is amazing. Alright, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more stuff by Fiaura, hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate this if you shared it on Facebook, Twitter, or just, brought your friend over to the computer and showed this video to them and tried to get them involved in the channel. If you would like to see the previous Armored Warfare video, it's right there. And in the meantime, I think that's about everything. If you want to support the channel, that is one thing. Then you can do so in 2 big ways. You can either click on the Patreon page and go donate $1, which I appreciate immensely. Or you can click on the ad at the end of the video. Either one is perfectly fine. In the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, guys. To break up a machine gun nest or another moderate armor target that a missile is just not very useful for, it kind of doesn't work very well. Now, it was used from the 70s into the mid-80s, and even saw use in the Gulf War, all by the British. And it is derived from the FV-430 series of armored personnel carriers. In real life, it only carries 14 missiles. In game, it carries 30. Also in real life, it could only fire the missiles out to 100 meters because they're supposedly wire guided. Yeah, there's wires attached.